Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good.
All right, everybody, we are at the Effin' Sports Show. You have come back. You are here, and the reason you have come back is because we are going through every team and every division. We're going through game by game. We do it all live. It's not prepped. These things, these sheets are not pre-filled out. These guesses are not pre-done. We look at them game by game, decide who's going to win, give you a record at the end, and once we're done with everybody, we'll know who's going to the playoffs, and we'll probably break it down to see who's going to the Super Bowl. Right now, you are at the halfway point. We've done half of the league with the NFC South. We've done the AFC South. We've done the AFC North, and we've done the NFC West. So now we go into the NFC East because they have a link with the NFC West. I'm really excited to break these teams down. We're not at the team I'm ready to do yet. We are in the division that matters most to the man who's been here the entire time, the Adam Hulse at Adam Hulse Sports. Adam, NFC East, I know you've kind of been waiting for this one too.
Yep. I mean, eventually we're going to get to my Cowboys now that we're on this division. We already know I'm going to be giving them a lot of wins, but it's how many wins at this point. And look, this is the NFC East. As everybody knows, nobody wins the NFC East 2 years in a row, right? I mean, it just never happens in the NFC East. It's a different team every year that wins this division. The Eagles trying to change that trend. The Cowboys could be right there. The Giants were a playoff team last year. Let's see how this all plays out.
I'm really excited to go through this division because I think it's a surprising division, and you're absolutely right. Nobody wins it 2 years in a row, which is a good thing for Dallas fans. Kind of got you guys on edge waiting for it. I am waiting for the Dallas one, but first we got to do the Washington Commanders. If you've listened to the previous shows, you know I have been very down on the Commanders, and I even said at some point a couple of shows back that I would be surprised if I gave the Commanders any wins at all. As the schedule sits in front of me, as I have the stats in front of me, I may surprise myself a little bit because this is what you need to know about the Commanders, everybody. Yes, they went 8-8-1. These are the important things to remember, all right? Out of those 8 wins, they beat Jacksonville, they beat Green Bay, they beat Dallas, they beat Philly, they tied the Giants. 4 of those 8 wins are against playoff teams. They were 24th in points for. We understand that. They were 7th in points against. The defense was 3rd in pass yards against. The defense was 11th in rush yards against. The defense was 11th overall. This Del Rio-led defense played for real. These guys showed up. The offense got it. Dumpster fire, 3 different quarterbacks. Heineke wins a bunch of games, and then they pull them out of those 8 wins. There was a point in the middle of the season from October to December where they got 7 of them. They went 7 of 8 with 1 loss from October to the first week of December. So these guys can play. They were in the playoff conversation right until the end. They lost the last few games, and that's really what did it in for them. Great defense, great wide receiver, who despite the dumpster fire quarterback was wide receiver 14. You got Robinson, who was shot and still came in and played. We're excited about him. We're excited about Gibson. It's just the quarterback situation, but the defense is there.
The defense is kind of there, but, there's still rumblings that Chase Young could be traded. We can say all we want about the Commanders last year, right? But this year's team is not last year's team, and in particular, it's the quarterback situation. I don't know how anybody else feels about Sam Howell. I think it's a joke that he's their starting quarterback this year. I know they're trying to sell his potential, as they should as an organization. My feeling, I think Sam Howell's going to be a disaster. My other feeling is by starting Sam Howell, it kind of feels to me like the Commanders could be tanking a little bit because it's kind of like a win-win, right? They start Sam Howell all year, and if he turns out to be good, it's like, wow, I guess we do have a quarterback. If he turns out to be really bad, they're barely going to win any games, and they can get one of the quarterbacks next year.
Against Dallas, Sam Howell goes 11 of 19 for 169, gets himself a touchdown, also grabs himself an interception, and got sacked 3 times. First game in, you got 1 game to look at, and you're right. Washington's really trying to hype this kid up. He has pieces around him. Ron Rivera, really great with quarterbacks, really does a fine job. They play in the NFC East, so they've got a chance to win some games because I think this is one of those divisions, the teams really do play each other very well. You see a lot of splits
always
as the regular season goes down. I mean, these teams know each other, and they play well against each other. So those 6 games that they have against each other, they usually play a pretty pivotal role by the end of the season.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why teams don't win this division twice in a row, right? Because they often beat each other up. They usually don't have great divisional records, though Dak Prescott's record against the NFC East is very good for his career. But yeah, the playing each other tough is a big part of the reason why there's never consecutive division winners in the NFC.
So let's get into it. The Commanders start off with Arizona. We've already said that the Commanders are going to beat Arizona, which is kind of crazy because we're down on both teams so much. Even with all the problems, the bright side is the defense. You know, I'm a big defensive guy. I think defense wins championships. Defense can be the deciding factor in a push game like this one. I think the defense is what gets it done. This isn't a game a lot of people are going to watch, though.
No, I mean, this is one of the ugliest games you can put on the schedule. The reasoning for why I picked the Commanders is as bad as I think they are and as much of a mess and all the changes and all the negative storylines, they are still playing at home in this game, and they're playing maybe the only team in the NFL with more ugly storylines and questionable things and holes on their roster than they have in the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, that could be true. Week 2, they go to Denver, a better challenge when they head to Denver. Sean Payton's still in his first year. Russell Wilson coming off not a great season. The running back room in Denver is trying to put it together. Defense I like in the secondary, but in the middle, I don't want to talk too much about Denver. I want to keep this on Washington, but on paper, maybe this game's lopsided. But I think when these two actually go head to head, we're going to get more of a game than we might have. Again, not necessarily a pretty game in week 2.
I expect Russell Wilson to have a big bounce back here this year. Now, he might not be his MVP candidate type self that he was in Seattle, but he's not going to be as bad this year as he was last year. He has Sean Payton. I'll say what I keep saying about Sean Payton. He picked the Broncos. He wanted the Broncos. He wanted Russell Wilson. If he believes in the situation, that makes me believe in the situation. He wouldn't have come out of retirement if he didn't believe in the situation. So I'm definitely taking the Broncos in this game.
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos as well. I just think they're a better team all around. I know defense, I'm up on defenses. Defensive wins games, but I think the offense is just going to be better, rust or no. Week 3, Buffalo comes to Washington. Washington's defense, 3rd against the pass last year, 3rd. All right, so Allen, Diggs, the whole deal. Washington shows on paper that they have enough to give Buffalo a game. This could be one early in the season. People are knocking off the rust. Everybody's not quite ready to go. If you got an extra $10, maybe put it on Washington in this game just to see if you can win something. I wouldn't know more than that. I think Buffalo wins this game. I just think in week 3, it might be better than people are expecting.
Yeah, I mean, put 10 on Washington if you want to donate 10 to your bookie's charity. I mean, that's fine. Like you said, defenses win games. Well, Buffalo's got a damn good defense, too. They've been one of the most consistently good defenses over the last few years. You know what else wins games is elite quarterbacks, and that's exactly what Josh Allen is. As long as the Bills aren't looking past this game, they should easily win by double digits. Give me the Bills.
All right, well, I'm trying to hype it up a little bit here. Make it look a little better. But you're probably right. Week 4, they go to Philly. Not much conversation here. It is a divisional game. Everybody's got a chance. Like I said, Washington beat Philadelphia last year. These guys in this division, they beat each other all the time. Because it's in Philly, I'm taking Philly, as most people will.
Yeah, I mean, Washington's going to traditionally play Philly pretty tough. And, if you want to talk about a betting angle in this game, this is the kind of game in Philly that Philly's probably going to be favored by 10 to 14 points. That's the kind of spread that you might want to put a little bit on Washington because they might keep the game closer than most think it will be. But in the end, the Eagles will find a way to win it.
Then we go to week 5. Chicago comes to Washington. This could be a fun game. We expect a lot of running. We're hoping for an improved passing game. We haven't got to Chicago yet, and I don't want to spend too much time here, but by week 5, they'll start opening up. They'll start figuring things out, and we'll see if it's good enough to beat a team like the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of game that I see that the Commanders could win this game because it's at home, and, what really is Chicago? I'm under the belief that Chicago is going to be a much better team this year than they've been for the last couple of years. I do believe that. How much better, and are they a playoff team? I don't know about all that, but I do think they'll be improved. If I'm going to stick with my feeling that Chicago is going to be improved, they're going to have to beat teams like Washington, so I'm going to take the Bears in this one.
If I didn't make it clear, I do think Chicago is going to win, because I think they should win. But if it goes the other way, I'm not going to say I'd be shocked. Week 6, they go to Atlanta. We already gave Atlanta the win in that one. Again, one of those games where you got two teams, trying to figure out their offenses, trying to figure out who they are. Atlanta kind of making better additions. I think Atlanta and Washington are honestly pretty evenly matched. Maybe it's the home team thing.
Atlanta traditionally is a very good home team. They play very tough at home, no matter who their opponent is. Washington, not a very good opponent. That's why we're going with Atlanta. But just side note, could we get a worse quarterback matchup than Sam Howell versus Desmond Ridder?
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out for sure. Week 7, they go to the Giants. I don't want to spoil the Giants episode, but let me tell you something. Preview to the Giants episode, they're not as good as a lot of people think they are. And you've brought this up, that they won a lot of garbage games. They're really not that fantastic. Evidenced in the next episode. This one, even though it's in New York, it's a divisional game. I'm actually giving Washington the win here.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are the kind of team that I think Washington can split against this year. This one's going to be in New York, so I'm going to lean the Giants. And yeah, you're right. I've said it a lot about the Giants. Every game last year that could have went either way went the Giants' way. They're not going to get that lucky this year.
Washington came out with the tie against the Giants. They did lose in the next week.
Yeah, we haven't picked any eyes on our schedules yet. That's something to keep an eye on. There's usually one or two every year, right?
That's going to be a hard one to pick, though, right? I mean, how do you pick a tie? Maybe they'll tie the Giants in week 7. Who knows? That's a good point, though. It is a good point. Week 8, Philly comes to Washington. We talk about a lot of splits. Again, they beat Philly last year for one of those games. They did pull off that split in Washington. I just can't give Philly a loss here. There probably will be a split, honestly, but I'm not going to call it. I'm going to give Philly the sweep this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't pick Washington to beat Philly again. Like I said about the last game, I think they'll play them closer than most people think they will, but I just can't see them winning.
You can make a bet on that. You can be ballsy and call it. You might even have confidence. It's just, yeah, there you go. Philly's just going to be good. We'll get that to them in a couple episodes. Week 9, Washington goes to New England. Don't have a lot of great things to talk about New England yet. The quarterback is the question there. Again, Washington just questionable all around. I don't have a lot of stock in New England this year, but I have belief that they can beat the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not high on the Patriots either, but playing a team like the Commanders in Foxborough, I'll take the Patriots.
Week 10, they go to Seattle. Seattle, I'm expecting a lot of. You're expecting a little less, but still a much better, a much stronger, more improved team. And it's in Seattle. Seattle's really hard to pick against at home. Got to give the Commanders another loss here.
Yeah, I mean, I love Seattle's roster from top to bottom. You know, I don't think Geno's going to do again this year what he did last year, but I love them everywhere else, and I still think they're a playoff team, and they're going to beat Washington at home.
Giants up next. Back to the divisional week 11. The Giants come to Washington, and I give Washington the sweep against the Giants.
A sweep is definitely interesting. You know, I love these home splits in a lot of divisional type of series, so this is one that I think that Washington can win. I'll give them the split.
Nice. See, there you go. It's just that division stuff, but then they got to go to Dallas. This is always a big game every year. Dallas, Washington, it doesn't matter. This is one of those football classics that everybody likes to watch, and honestly, it's one of those games that either team could win, and that's kind of what all these division games are. But when Washington and Dallas play each other, you're really getting just a lot of tradition that comes out on the field, and I really think the players feel that when they play. I am going to give Dallas the win because it's in Dallas, but these games always turn out a little bit better than the teams walking in the stadium might represent themselves before the game.
I do think rivalries matter to the players. I think it does mean something to them, especially when you're on a bad team, right? When you're on a really bad team, usually the couple games a year that you'll get up for is your division rival games, and when you get like a Super Bowl contender type of game, like those couple you'll really play up to. When you're a terrible team like Washington and you're playing another terrible team and you're a player, it's hard to get motivated for that situation. You know what I mean? The way I feel about Washington and Dallas is pretty similar to how I feel against Washington with Philly, that Washington will play Dallas probably tougher and closer than most people think they will, but I have a very hard time imagining the Commanders will find a win there.
Week 13, Miami comes to Washington. Again, Miami, every time we talk about Miami so far, it's been, will Tua be there? Tua is the difference. If Tua's there, I'm picking Miami because Tua might be there. It's the same thing here. This one could go either way, and it's really just because we don't know what the Tua situation's going to be.
I'm going to disagree agree with you a little bit. I don't see this as a game that could go either way. Even if they don't have Tua, I just don't see where the Commanders are going to beat the Dolphins, who are good pretty much everywhere else. And despite Tua missing all that time last year, they were still a playoff team. So, and they got better this offseason by adding Jalen Ramsey. Give me the Dolphins, regardless of the quarterback.
Yeah, you have been a little higher on Miami than I have, and it is 100% because of Tua. I am probably going to give Miami the win here. Yeah, I'm going to give Miami the win. I'm going to do it. Week 14 bye week. Then they go to LA to play the Rams. We've already given the Rams the win, despite the fact that it's after a bye week. Usually we've been kind of up on teams after the bye week, but it's just the Rams. And the thing with the Rams, when we talked about this during the Rams episode, go back and check that out if you haven't listened to it already. The big point with the Rams is everybody's down on the Rams. Everybody should be down on the Rams because of their performance last season, but they still have one of, if not the best wide receiver in the league in Cooper Kupp, and he's coming back and he should be healthy this year. Despite Washington's fantastic pass defense, we're still giving the Rams the win.
We're talking about Tua's health. I mean, Stafford's health is the other thing, right? Like the Rams.
Absolutely.
To me, like the Rams are much more dependent on Stafford's health than the Miami Dolphins are. And that's because the Miami Dolphins are pretty loaded with superstars at other positions, while the Rams, after Cooper Kupp and after Aaron Donald, they just don't have a lot of star power after that. So if Stafford's not himself, or if that neck doesn't heal, or if he can't play much, I think the Rams could be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm going to give the Rams the benefit of the doubt and think that maybe Stafford can get another year or two of decent football, and that's why I'm picking the Rams.
Then they go to the Jet. When I first see this game, remember, we're doing all this live. We see it pop up, call it, we go on to the next one. When I see Washington at the Jets, I want to pick the upset here. I want to say Washington can beat the Jets. I want to say Aaron Rodgers has one of his bad games because he does it all the time. He does it every season. He loses games that he should not lose. But let me tell you something. I think the Jets, not to get too far from the Jets, we'll talk more about the Jets later. I think the Jets may be one of Aaron Rodgers' best teams as far as the offense goes. I love his wide receiver core. I think it's amazing. I like the coaching. I think the Jets are going to be really good this season. They got a challenge because of the division they play in. I think they win this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets have a great defense. Aaron Rodgers has a strong supporting cast around them. I expect the Jets to be a good team this year. I expect them to be a playoff team. What Rodgers does in the playoffs, history does not support him having much success in the playoffs. He hasn't really done it in the past decade. So I'm definitely picking the Jets in this game. But when we get to the Jets episode later on in this series, we'll see what I really think about the Jets.
Yeah, because again, we don't know what we really think because we're doing all this live. I have no idea what I really think about the whole season. And it is going to be more of a struggle. While I think he does have one of the best teams he's ever had, he's also in a harder division than he used to be in. I do think Washington's going to play people tougher than the general consensus people are giving him credit for. Because again, McLaren is a beast. Robinson is going to do fantastic. I really think Robinson's going to be one of the top backs in the league, top 10. I said it right there. Hashtag write that down. But it's the quarterbacking. San Francisco in week 17, we both gave San Francisco the win. I don't think we need to get too far into it unless you got something to say about it. But I think it's pretty evident why we give San Francisco the win here.
Yeah, San Francisco's better at everything. No matter which one of their three quarterbacks are playing at that point, they're going to win the game.
Then you're going to get mad at me, but week 18, I'm giving Washington the win against Dallas. They beat them in week 18 last year. I say they beat them again this year, probably for about the same reason. Dallas doesn't really need to play too hard in week 18. They could be playing for, the division, or they might already have it wrapped up. Washington at home and gets that win. Again, it's that divisional Dallas-Washington thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have to give too many reasons why I think Dallas is going to win this game, but I do think that there will be something to play for, whether it be seeding in the NFC or, a divisional race with the Eagles. I think the game will matter, and I think Dallas is going to win it.
So I give Washington 4 wins. You give Washington 2 wins. It actually came out worse than I thought because I do have a lot more faith in this defense. It's the offense, and normally the defense is what kind of, gets it done for me. I like the offense. I love McLaren. I love Robinson. They've got, a decent tandem there in the running back room. The schedule just doesn't help. I mean, you got the tough divisional games. You've got Dallas, you've got Seattle, you got Philly, Buffalo, an improved Denver, the Jets. I think Washington's going to be better than people think. It's just the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, schedule is extremely important. For me with Washington, I don't necessarily think their record is going to be better than most people think. I think that they can play some teams tough, but Look, this is the NFL. Even if you have the weapons and even if you have the defense, when you don't have the quarterback, sure, you can keep games close, but you don't win very many games without a legitimate quarterback, no matter how good the rest of the roster is. And that's why I'm not high at all on Washington.
I will say, like, across the internet, if you will, the average prediction for the Commanders this year is in the 8 to 9 game realm again. So there are games that people expect Washington to win, probably games like the Rams, like Atlanta, Chicago, maybe even Arizona, that we are going the other way with. So maybe we've gone a little low. We've definitely gone lower than the general consensus. Let me clear up. I didn't say the record was necessarily going to be better. I said they're going to play better than they did last year. I think they're going to put up a better showing and people are going to be surprised statistically. 4 wins for me. I do think maybe that's a little low. I think they might steal a couple wins. So I think your 2 wins is a little low. It's hard to look at this schedule and really see a lot of reason that we're that far off.
You know, quarterbacks win games in the NFL. Also in the NFL, even the bad teams, like, look at the Texans last year. Even the bad teams keep a lot of games close. You know, in the NFL, almost every game is close. That's why it's so rare that you even get double-digit spreads in the NFL, because all these teams are good. The teams that win are usually the ones that have the great quarterback and the pieces around it. And I just don't see the Commanders having it.
I guess we'll find out. We're going to find out how the rest of the division plays out. Every game, every division. We're going through each and every one of them, giving you records, taking you through the entire season. We're with Adam Hulse at Adam Hulse Sports on Twitter. This is That Effin' Sports Show. Find us where you listen to podcasts or on YouTube, keyword EFIN. We'll see you guys for the New York Giants. Are they as good as people think they are? I say nay. We'll see what Adam says on the next one. Thanks for joining us. Everybody take care.
Have your loud. It be raining now. I keep making sound. Go another round. I'm legend bound. Can't stop me now.